Okay, good day, everybody. My name is Rienk Kok, and today I will show you a little bit about Lean, and then a little bit about the combination of Lean and enterprise architecture. Halfway through the Lean presentation, I will open up the microphone to enable people to ask certain questions, which in the second half I then am able to address. So let's get started. I will focus on Lean first, and especially how I have used it actually in my day-to-day practice to make my profession, enterprise architecture, and implementing enterprise architecture within customers more efficient. And basically, it's a mindset for me. It's about mindset and behavior, how you think of the things you want to do. And it's all about the 5 principles of Lean then. It's all about creating value and do that in a value chain in a most efficient way, making sure you get proper flow, which is making sure there are no obstructions, and if there are, to actually overcome them. The concept of pull and pulling, and then continuous improvement using perfection. So these are the 5 principles of Lean. The primary goal, and then I will look at each of the principles in a little bit more in depth. The primary goal is to create customer value for your customer, not something which you want, but what the customer wants, the viewpoint of the customer. That's the primary goal, customer value, and do that in the most efficient way. So here we go. Having value. Well, we see this little person, and it's actually about customer value. Okay, it's not about the product or service. So what you're looking at, of course, is that you create a product or service. For example, 2 products which we deliver in our the unit academy is a TOGAF training, and the other product is an Archimate training. But it's not about that product. It's about creating customer value. It's about delivering that what another person needs. So hopefully today, after this workshop, I've created some value for you. Not only you have learned something about Lean, hopefully, but also you have given some insights which you might later use in your own day-to-day life or work. So it is about the problem you solve for somebody else. Very simple, actually. Now, how do you do this? It's about having a value chain. And this is not unique. It's not something which hasn't been around for decades, but it's combining all these things together in an approach called Lean. And in this value chain, I created a very simple processing step from production, from a product. Let's say we produce a car. It's producing a car, placing it in stock, then selling it, providing the shipment, and eventually deliver it to the customer to deliver customer value. Whatever solves that person's problem. One person wants to take his kids to school. Another person wishes to trash the car just to see how strong it is. I would say watch Top Gear. If we look a little bit more in depth about the value chain, then it appears that there are actually 3 process types. So I'm labeling. There's a primary process type. That's what you actually do which creates value. Then there's the supporting process type, or the secondary, if you like. This and that's mandatory. You need to do it to create your primary product. And then there is the product of waste, process of waste. And if you look at each process in this way, then if you have waste, what would be the normal response? What would be the normal response to do with waste? And I think we all know it. It's not rocket science. You try to get rid of waste. You try to eliminate it, take it out of the process chain. So for each process step, you're actually asking yourself, be amazed, why are we doing what we are doing, and how is it contributing to our primary goal? So waste you want to eliminate. Then there is the supporting process, which you really must do to enable you to create your primary product. In enterprise architecture, by the way, if you look at your enterprise architecture practice, it works exactly the same. In order to do architecting, create an architecture for your customer, you need some forms of standardization. You need some form of principles and building blocks, and these enable you to create your primary product, being an architecture for change. So the supporting products you need, but they're mandatory. They're not. There's no value for the customer, and that you really want to first of all optimize the process, which is always the case, and you want to reduce the supporting amount of work. So this is the value chain. Now there were 5 principles, remember? So this is number 3, which is named flow. And as I can see, this is rather small. The concept of flow is actually, and I use water for it because sometimes that's how I experience myself as well. If there is flow, then there are no obstacles and everything moves naturally. That's what you want to achieve. And we use this little picture to emphasize that a little bit. If we look at the process of flow, you can see that each process follows each other very nicely towards a definite outcome, which is the solution or need to the customer. It is a product, but this product resolves into the solution from a problem or a need to the customer. Think of things as flow, no abstractions. Instead of having all sorts of individual processes not aligned, sometimes not contributing towards each other, going back and forth, and eventually leads to a product. Now, it's very easy to see there is really no flow in this process, and therefore it has lots of obstacles, and it's not efficient. And the entire goal of having a lean is delivering value to your customer from his perspective or her perspective in the most efficient way. So you want to reduce waste and that sort of thing. The concept between pull and push, because this is lean, it's just 5 principles of things which we probably are somewhat aware with. So if we look at push versus pull, then you could say like, okay, let's make all we can use, all what we need, just in case. And one can imagine that leads to all sorts of overproduction. And actually, there are 6 or 7 bullets listed here, which results into that. And from lean, you really want to look towards a pull instead of a no, sorry. You want to look at a yes, you want to look at a pull instead of a push. So you actually make what is needed when you need it, and no sooner. And once you make what is needed, when it is needed, you make that in a most efficient way using the flow. With eliminating all forms of waste in the value chain, and also by optimizing the secondary processes. And finally, there is yes, before I go to perfection and then move on to the combination of lean and enterprise architecture, I will open up the microphone to enable you to ask a certain question relating what I've said or contributing to this area. So I'm now opening the microphone. Also, I'm looking to the chat. So if you would like to address me a question, that's fine. And I even see certain people which are quite aware to us already. So welcome everybody for you who I already know. So at this point, any questions via chat is also possible. Don't be shy. I always say in the online training, and sometimes that works remarkably well. Okay, so no problem. I will continue with the presentation. If you have later on other questions relating to the lean and enterprise architecture, then you're more than happy to provide those to me. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I will now mute the microphone. Okay. Now the 5th step in from lean principle is actually a perfection. It's about a continuous improvement. It's just simply noted with 2 lines, but what you're actually doing, it's about maintaining your operational process and make it more efficient every time you do it. So be amazed. Always ask yourself the question, why are the things working the way they are working? And don't ask this to yourself one time, but ask it all the time. And if you see any chances of improvement, think in the terms of, for example, it's not on the slide, but think in the terms of rocks and stones. Okay. And I would really like to challenge you via the chat, because there are 17 people. So somebody might give an answer, and that makes me very happy. What do you do with a big rock once it's in your way? Can you, no, let me just rephrase that question. What do you do with a small stone if it comes in your way? What can you do with that? It's a small stone. It's not that heavy. It's easy to solve. So what do? You move it. Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Kick it away. I like that one as well. So, but really, that's really true. The thought of is, if you're in a process which is not working well, you either think of it like, and this is time management actually, but is it a rock or is it a stone? And if it's a stone, then it's very light, and you move it out of the way. And please move it out of the way in a way, or you even kick it away, that it's not coming back. And then already you have created more efficiency in the process. And obviously, if it's a stone, then you need to do something additional. You need to address it in a more thoroughly way, and actually use a plan, do, check, action process, or even part of re-architecting, if you like. Okay. And another way of looking at perfection is using the 5 S's explanation, which is about sorting the things, setting them in order, making them shine, then standardize them and sustain them. You cannot standardize what's not set in order. So organizations that have found difficulty in standardization, that often is becomes because the value chain and the flow actually is not nice. There are lots of silos which is not contributing towards each other, which makes standardization difficult to achieve. Okay. So with Lean, you actually achieve something which is often called operational excellence, creating predictable services which make customer happy in the most efficient way, without having any waste, just in time. Okay, so this is something about Lean, and now let's have a remainder of the time a look for enterprise architecture, and I made it very small. I think this, yes, I used one slide on purpose. It's named enterprise architecture and Lean, obviously. And you can look at architecture and Lean as well as a continuous process. I would like you to look at architecture and Lean as a process. And think of that process as a plan, do, check, act, cycle. In architecture as well, before you start to re-architect, you plan what you're going to do. What do we want to achieve? What do we have now? What we did not have, and how does this actually add customer value? And then there is something like the result of a process. And with architecture as a result, it's usually a plan, an architectural description, a plan how you can actually implement new business operations, new business processes. And Lean as a result is actually about optimizing the existing operational processes, and it's focused on operational excellence. And what you can do is implement or integrate your Lean thinking into the architecture during the architecture as a process. Okay, so when you're actually architecting, because that's what architecture as a process is, that's architecting, and the outcome of architecting is an architecture. When you're architecting, you always think of value, not value for yourself, but customer value. It's not about the best architecture, it's about the suitable architecture. Something which makes the customer happy, which resolves an issue for the customer. It's about creating an efficient architecture, which eliminates waste and does not introduce secondary processes if not needed. It's about flow and using the pool concept. And once you have created that architecture, reuse it and optimize it towards perfection. Okay, so this is what I'm not going to address much more about enterprise architecture. Maybe one thing, customer value is a viewpoint, right? How you look at something, that's a viewpoint. And from viewpoints, something which you use quite often in architecture, that's also what I have in common. Okay, I'm now going to open up the microphone for questioning. Let me find the button. Yep. Okay, if you have any questions, could be related towards enterprise architecture and lean or enterprise specific or lean specific. Don't be shy. This is your time. Okay, maybe if you have later question, then that's okay. And otherwise, I would like to give the floor back to to Peter.
Yes.
I was going through a list in my mind, actually, very sequentially. I'm not sure if that's flow, but that was what I was doing.
I think
okay,
so.
I'm going to hand over the presentation to you now, Peter.
Okay, thank you.
Task presenter role.